Enjoy the ride. We cannot guarantee your safety or your sanity. Enjoy this story. But remember, you'll never get to your destination.
There we go.
That's pretty good.
How's everybody doing? We are with podcast host Joe DeHoyos from Beyond the Woodline. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, brother, man. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. This is the first show we do, so excuse me everybody. I'm trying to get used to this. What you got, man? Tell me about your day.
You know me, man. Just trying to stay busy, trying to stay active. I was actually cleaning up my tent, man, from when we went camping last weekend. I took it out. Yeah, I took it out. It had so much dirt on the bottom of it, so I just took it out, dusted it off, and I still have gear. My ash chest is still in my living room. I mean, I haven't put a lot of that stuff up, but yeah, that was a good weekend, man. It was just, it's fun going out, whether or not you catch any kind of evidence or not,
It is, yeah, definitely.
And we
wasn't
had good
expecting
company.
the rain.
Yeah, they wasn't too bad either. Like I said, we had good company. Shane and Darren, good guys to hang out with, and Jose. So
Definitely.
you got good company in the campfire and good food. We had some good food.
Oh yeah, your ribs were killer. Let me tell you. If I die, I want to eat those ribs before I die.
Yeah, it was pretty good, man.
How long have you had your podcast?
My podcast has been on for just over a year. Right about a year. Yeah, I've been doing that, and it was something that was in the works for like 6 weeks, like 6 months prior.
Really
trying to I actually had a different name for the show. But then Beyond the Woodline, for me, from a personal standpoint, just made more sense because I was expanding outside of the forest, outside of the woods, so to speak, and looking beyond that at the other stuff, UFOs and paranormal and, remote viewing. I had a witch on the show one time. We had mediums on the show. We've had quite a bit. Of course, my co-host Shannon, she's a big help to me. She really is. So yeah, man. So that was just the name just made sense for me.
Right. And let me ask you, what got you into this whole cryptid burn? I know everybody's got their own story that significantly changed you in one way or another. I mean, what led you to start your podcast?
Well, since I was a kid, I was always interested in this stuff. But I had a neighbor that lived across the street, and I tell everyone this story all the time. So I'm sorry if everyone's heard it before. But even at that, like within my own circle, when people ask me about it, I tell them the same story. It's a friend of mine that said, "Yeah, Shannon, I said something nice about you finally." but the show's still young, So
anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Don't get too cocky. But we had a neighbor that lived across the street, and this guy had so many like UFOs and Bigfoot stories and paranormal stories, his own personal experiences with the paranormal and UFO. And I mean, it was just like this guy had a never-ending, source, of these stories. And it was just like, man, for growing up in that time in the late 70s, early 80s, and he would tell some stories that were just like scared the hell out of us, And we would run back home, me and my brother, across the street, especially when it was at nighttime.
From the story.
And, yeah. And so he really was a big influence on my life. But even my dad was into this, like into the Bigfoot. Anytime like In Search Of came on, or any other show that may have had, like the old Patterson Gimlin film, he would call us and say, "Hey, come here, check this out," And so yeah, and then. Even growing up, I would cut grass just so I can go buy what few books there were at that time.
Really?
Yeah, just to earn some money to cut, to buy those books, And those books, like I said, they weren't really too much detail. Most of the books that I would buy had like multiple genres in it. They had everything from Bigfoot, alien, UFOs. One had spontaneous human combustion in it.
Yeah.
So those are the type of books that I would have to settle
and it's interesting that you said that, because I remember when I was growing up, I became obsessed for a little period of time with the internal combustion thing. I could not wrap my head around it, and I started seeing. I remember at the time there was a lady in, I think it was in England, that
she was in a chair, right?
On a chair, yes.
Just her leg there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. So that was kind of my journey, and then even in high school, but I would buy these books. I was a lot of people probably didn't know that, but a lot of my friends, they didn't know that, but I was still reading these books. And after high school, life happens. You get married and have kids, but then like the Finding Bigfoot shows come on. I believe it was like right about the year 2000 when I first got the internet. And man, I'm thinking like the first thing I looked at was Bigfoot, and I was like, holy shit, there's sightings here in Texas, And so, man, I started going through all the sightings here. I think at the time it was just the BFRO was probably like the main place you could go to find sightings, and that's just what I did, But I didn't actually start going out till 2012, and that was shortly after I hooked up with Will Jeff, which you talked to before.
Yes. What was your first experience? Did you ever have your come to the light? You mentioned you were reading into these books and you were learning, but did you go through a first experience that you said, "Oh my God, all this stuff is real"?
The first experience out of all this stuff had to be the UFO, and that was a good 15, 17 years ago, right in that area.
That must have made an impact on you.
Yeah. I was fishing with someone else, and they were maybe 60 feet down to my right, and they said, "Hey, Joe, look up." We were on the jetties in Galveston. And he said, "Hey, Joe, look right there," and he points to his left up in the sky, and I look, and there's this freaking round disc just hovering, just slowly going along the coastline. Just ever so slowly. And I've never seen things that slow move in the air without falling, because most craft have to maintain an airspeed to stay in the air.
Right.
This thing was just barely, there was no wobble to it. It was just perfectly like it was on rails, just gliding. And we probably watched it a good 5, 6, 7 minutes before it disappeared. And it made no noise. It was right above us, maybe 300-400 feet above us at the most, And we got a good look at it, even though it was dark. It was like 2:00 in the morning. But it was a clear sky, starry night. I know the moon was pretty bright that time, and we saw this thing perfect. It was black, had some gray markings on it. It was gray with some black markings on it. And about 2 miles down the way, there's an airstrip, and you can hear those little planes coming in. From way down there, you can hear them. This thing was right above us, didn't make any noise. No lights.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that, because in most of the cases that I've heard, they never make any noise, either a hum or no noise.
Right. Yeah. They get like a low hum or something like that. Yeah. And then my next kind of validation for me is when I moved into this house with my ex, and like 2 or 3 days into living into this house, we felt I was laying in bed by myself, and I felt like someone sat on the bed, and I thought it was my dog. We had a boxer, and he knew he wasn't supposed to come on the bed. And I felt the bed kind of go down. I thought it was him, and I was going to, get up and say, get down off the bed, better, right?
Yeah.
And so I looked, and there was nothing there. And then a couple of days later, I felt it again, and this time I thought it was him. So I sat up in the bed. And I was like, "Get your ass off the bed!" There's nobody there. So my kids were in the kitchen, and I just walked in there, and I said, "Hey, this house is haunted." Just talk just like that. And
very relaxed.
And and right away they were like, "Yeah, it is. It is." Like I said, we had at this time it probably hadn't been in the house, under 2 weeks.
So everybody had the discussion at that moment.
Yeah, we all started talking. My oldest told me that she was laying in bed, she was on her phone, and it was really dark, and she said this bright light came out of the closet like a flash, like someone took a picture. And there's not even a light in that closet. Sometimes when a light bulb goes off, it'll kind of flash.
Right.
Yeah. but there's not even a light bulb in that closet because it's one of those longer closets. It's not a deep closet. It's just like it's almost the length of a wall.
Wow.
So she saw that. My kids had heard footsteps in the house, and even the dog. Man, he would be eating. All of a sudden, he would just stop and he'd look up and he'd just like walk real fast to the next room, like to go investigate.
Yeah.
You ever see sometimes when the dog just like looks up at a wall?
Yeah,
You're like in a movie. Man, he would do that. He would stop and he would just like look up at the wall, like just like he's looking at something, or maybe he wasn't looking at the wall. Maybe he was looking at something in front of him.
Well, to us, he's looking at the wall. For him, he's probably looking at an entity or something.
Yeah,
because we all know that animals are so sensitive to all these things.
Right, man. And my daughter told me one day she was laying in bed and she heard footsteps in the living room, and that Atlas actually jumped off her bed and he went to her door and was looking out like, okay, who's coming? But it was only them two.
Wow.
I was sitting in bed one day. It was I used to go in at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was sitting in bed and I was just kind of being lazy. Just woke up, and I felt someone like jab me right in the ribs. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
I just kind of jumped and I said, okay, well, I guess I got to get up and get dressed, So that's what I did. I just got up out of bed and got dressed. And even my son.
What the hell, man?
My son had just graduated high school. And so he was home. He was home alone. And he calls me, goes, hey, man, something weird just happened. I'm like, what's that? He said that he was sitting on the edge of the couch watching TV and he saw this figure out of the corner of his eye, and it was like a humanoid figure, and it kind of leaned down, like squatted down, and it had its finger out like that, and it just barely touched him on the arm. And when it touched him on the arm, it disappeared. And then he said that at the same time, all his hairs on his arm stood up and it touched him. Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
I ain't that brave. Nuh-uh.
Yeah. So then one night I was up watching TV, and my oldest come out of her room and she's like, hey, Dad, I saw a black shadow move from one room to the other, from one corner of the room to the other corner. And so I said, okay. I said, well, let's go check it out. So she went to, I told my son, I said, hey, go get my recorder. Because at this time I was ready to, investigate the Bigfoot and stuff. And so I said, hey, go to my room, get my recorder. I need to make sure it has batteries in it because I wanted to do like an EVP session.
Right.
And so before coming to me, because we were in the living room, he goes straight to the girls' room, my two girls' room. And when he comes out, he's like white. He's like white as a ghost. He's like, Dad, you got to hear this. You got to hear this. And I'm like, well, what? He plays it, and you can hear him say, is there anybody here with us? And then you hear a response go, yeah. And that was it.
Oh, I would have felt chills.
Dude, we all kind of freaked out, but it was funny. After a little incident, we sat around, we talked for about 10 minutes. We videoed. I got some orbs on my phone, which I still have that video. And I didn't let you listen to the recording yet?
I don't think so. Not that one. Not in particular.
And so we recorded some orbs in that room, wow. So they went right to bed after that. My two girls, they went right to the room and went to sleep.
It was normal to them at this point.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How that? I mean, it's got to be extremely haunted. This place, so that for how long? I mean, they're probably seeing these things. They're so little. I
think. Okay, well, this house, actually, we had moved into it. At this house, the original owners, they were in their 90s. I think the gentleman was like 96 when he passed away. They were the only owners of this house. Him and his wife both went to the hospice and passed away there within a few years of each other.
Peacefully.
Yeah. And so we think it was them that was there. And I kind of think my dad was there too a little bit. But he had we were remodeling the house, the hallway and the master bathroom. Mm-hmm. And my cousins were there doing the work. And they were talking to us. And my cousin, he's talking about what he's going to do. Okay, we're going to come in tomorrow morning, and this is, game plan, right? Yeah. And he looks down at his arm. He kind of rubs his arm a little bit, and he looks at my other cousin who's standing on his right, but he's like standing 7 feet away from him. He kind of looks at my cousin like, what are you doing? And he starts talking to us again about what he's going to do. And he stops. He looks at his arm and he looks at my cousin and he says, man, what are you doing to my arm? My cousin's like, I'm not doing anything. I'm standing over here. So by that time, my cousin walks into the corner.
Wow.
Yeah, he walks into the corner and he's standing there. And so that way he can see everyone, right? Everyone in the kitchen. And he's talking again. He looks down at his arm. He goes, Joe, it feels like someone's grabbing my arm. He comes over there to me. He grabs my arm. He squeezes it real tight because this is what it feels like. Shit, man, really? He goes, yeah.
What?
So we told him, I said, look, man, right from the get-go, the first time when we saw him do that, me and my family started looking at each other, like, okay, we know something's going on with Manuel, And
wow. Thank you, Dustin.
Yeah, it doesn't. Thank you, buddy. And we knew something was going on with him. So after he told me, this is how hard he's squeezing my arm, we told him, look, man, this house, it's got some activity in it, paranormal activity in it, just so you know. So the next morning when he came, he says, hey, come here, I got to show you something. And he shows me his arm, and on his arm is like a handprint bruise.
What?
I mean, you can see the fingers. Yeah. On his arm.
Oh no. What'd you do then?
But, we think it was because they were remodeling the house, and you hear that the spirits don't like that,
you stirred up something.
Right, yeah. But nothing bad ever happened there. It was a lot of stuff happened there. Even if it was scary, it was more just kind of freaky than it was like, scary. I don't think anything there was evil or bad or had ill intent.
Let me ask you this. Do you still live there?
No, I don't live there. But my son was recently there. He was home on leave. This was about a year ago.
Okay.
And he was home on leave, and he was there with his family. And they were the only ones there, him and his wife and my grandson that were there. And the bedroom door starts shaking. And he's telling me about it. He grabs my door and he starts shaking. He's like, Dad, this is how hard he was going. He's shaking it pretty good.
Oh, my Lord.
And he says, he said, I had the AR under the bed. He goes, I got up, I grabbed the AR. He says, I loaded it up. He goes, when I loaded it up, I'm just standing there because the door starts shaking again. And by this time, my grandson, who had just turned 4, was like, Daddy, because he was kind of scared, and he's like,
yeah,
lay down next to your mom, just stay there next to your mom. And he goes out, and he, military term, he clears the house. There's nobody in the house,
Wow.
Like, all the doors are locked, all the windows are locked. Okay, all the windows have burglar bars on them. All the doors have like a bar that goes across.
Yeah.
There's a back door and a side door. And then the front door, not only does it have burglar bars on it, but that little section is also caged off with with burglar bars.
Right.
So no one was in that house.
Well, and your son is like you mentioned, he's a Marine.
Right, yeah.
So his instinct kicks in. Which, by the way, thank you for his service.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty recent,
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy. And all of this, I'm guessing all this experience that you had, and plus your fascination with studying the paranormal, I think that is that what motivated you to start the show?
Yeah. That and just learning about just different stuff. Like I call it the paranormal, Bigfoot, and UFO, alien stuff. I call that the big 3.
Right.
And but I like to just even go out further than that. Like I said, I had a guy on about with remote viewing. I had a guy talk about like I said, I had a lady on there about witchcraft. We've had different stuff,
Well, I've seen your show. I think your show is great. For anybody that hasn't seen it, you don't know what you're missing. I mean, even if I'm working, I'll try to sneak in, a little bit. Let me see what's going on, because it's a good show. And then, finding another person to compliment you on the show is also hard because personalities, and you have amazing Shannon.
Yeah, man, she's good. She's definitely paranormal. Is in her wheelhouse, So she's really good at finding me guests. We're gonna have a real good guest on tomorrow, and I mean, she finds these guests for me. She's a big name in the paranormal, so that helps me out.
And as far as your investigations, do what do you do? How do you do? I mean, you gotta have a certain type of personality to not get freaked out when you go out on investigation. I mean, I'm sure you're gonna do your research, you're gonna study the place, and then you head on there and you do what you do. But I mean, it's
for the most part, I've only done like the Bigfoot cryptid research. I've done a couple of investigations, paranormal. My first real one was with Shannon, but prior to that, I got out a couple other times to go check out different locations. We went to go check out a location. It was like a Civil War cemetery, right?
Right.
And we go out and we're like in the freaking woods, and we come across like a homeless camp, which is scary enough because when these people come back,
they're gonna be mad.
And it was late at night. It was after midnight. I know that. So we got the hell out of there and we started walking, and we walked through this little clearing, this little field. We get to the wood line and we're like, you know what, we're going in the wrong damn direction. We need to just go back and just call it a night. As we go back to the same field we just walked through, then we find all the headstones and the plates. Yeah, we didn't see it going. Yeah, we didn't see it going. We saw it coming back. And the weird part about that is that's not weird enough. Then the fog starts rolling in.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Nighttime. Yeah. Cemetery. Fog. It sounds like a bad movie, bro. Yeah. Something's going to happen.
Well, at that time, I was in really good shape. I would have been tripping people.
I know I would have. I would have been rolling, though.
Yeah. But yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
On any type of investigation, I try to do as much research prior to going, whether it's, looking at that site, looking at maps, or just trying to hear what other researchers may have encountered while they were there. But, when you go out, it's always something different, Sometimes you get activity, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get a lot of activity, and sometimes you don't get nothing but crickets and frogs like we did the other night,
Mm-hmm.
So,
and what was your first Bigfoot experience?
Well, my first... We were going down one of the trails, and the person I was with says, "Hey, look, I saw something move over here." And so I walked over there to her, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Yeah, look over there." And she points, and I'm having to look up. You know how tall the brush gets over there?
Oh yeah.
So I'm standing on my tiptoes and I'm looking, and I see some trees. I'm like, and I'm looking, and I saw something like reddish oranges go from one tree to another tree. I was like, yeah, there it goes. I said, I see it. And I remember, I'm 5'8", so this brush is probably right about 6 feet.
Right, and he's towering over.
Yeah. And which I still didn't really compute at that time. So I said, I just saw it. I said, it's kind of reddish orange. She goes, no. What I saw was gray.
Oh, wait, you saw two different.
Well, she saw the gray one. I saw a reddish orange one. But so I said, I was with my brother-in-law also. So I asked him, I said, my sister, my brother-in-law, I said, hey, let's go over there, let's check it out. Mm-hmm. He says, okay. So we walk over to that tree, and when we come back, the person I was with and my sister, like, we couldn't even see you guys over there. The brush was so tall, we couldn't even see you guys. So I didn't ask, but I got home and I asked her, I said, so what did you see? And she says, she goes, I heard like a snap, like a branch snap or a twig break, whatever. Or it was bigger than a twig. She said, I heard something break pretty loud. So I looked over there. She said, I'm scanning the wood line. And when I get to that tree, she goes, I see it go behind the tree like that. Yeah.
Your heart was sank.
And she said, if I hadn't seen it move, I would have never known it was there. And then, man, I hear that so much. People say that so much, like if it wouldn't have moved, they wouldn't have known it was there.
That's true.
And so this was early on, like maybe 2012, maybe 2013 at the latest. And so this particular area, come to find out there's a big gray one that has been seen in that area. Yeah, by multiple people. And so when I tell people this story, researchers, we're talking private. They're like, okay, where was it at? And I'll tell them. They're like, yeah, that's exactly where we saw that one. That's exactly where.
Wow.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Well, a great one. That's gotta be so intimidating. I mean, he's more mature. Everything about these creatures is a mystery.
Right.
To basically to everybody. I mean, what little we learn is from people like you who go out there, put the time, put the hours, and you're doing it safe, which is the key word here.
Yeah. I try to be safe,
Yeah. Well, as safe as you can be.
Right. Yeah.
You're not reckless, and that's one of the things that I admire about you. And the few times that we've been out, I noticed that you're very careful. You're very, symmetrical. You're scanning. You're always paying attention to everything around you, and that's very important in this field.
Right. Yeah. Uh, it's just my way. I don't know if it's the right way or not, but I like to continuously scan. Not just for Bigfoot, but for other animals too. I don't want anything sneaking up on me. And the main reason why I scan is because if there's one there, I'm hoping to take advantage of the fact that I got my head turned and now he wants to move. So you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one reason why I do scan, is hopefully to catch some movement.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. And how did you get involved into the Will Jevnin world?
Well, I met him. He was on a previous podcast, and we have a mutual friend. So I met him through him, and he, after he left that podcast, he started his own group. Which he had a group prior to that. I forgot what it was called, and but then he changed it into the Jevnin Research Group, right. And so he just said, "Hey, if anybody wants to join my group, let me know." So I was like one of the first ones to jump on board. I'm like, "Hell yeah, I get to learn from one of the best guys in the field." And,
absolutely.
And like in my opinion, when people talk about researchers, they don't put Will up there, and I'm like, man, why would you put Will up there? He's been with the Renee DeHenden and John Green. John Green and Renee DeHenden, I don't know if you know, but they're like two of the pioneers.
Right. Yes.
In the Bigfoot world, they're considered two of the best. And Will was with these guys from the time he was a teenager. And,
yeah.
And it's like, why wouldn't you include Will into this? But Will's a good guy, man. He don't complain. He don't care. He just does his thing, and he's going to do his research and stay in his. He stays in his lane, and that's one of the things I like about Will, and that's one of the qualities that I try to
emulate. Yeah.
Because stay in your lane and don't worry too much about what other people say or do, and
you have to.
Yeah, because when it comes to drama, he's not about that.
Mm-hmm.
Someone mentions his name in a bad way, he lets it roll off his back and continues doing what he's doing, and that's probably the best way to handle it, because it dies out almost instantly.
Correct.
The people who keep it going, it's like,
Yeah, definitely. And how did you become to be the executive director for the research group?
Well, at the time we had different teams all over the country. Like we still have teams like up north and in Florida, California, and we kind of funnel information.
Right.
There was two guys. One was Jeremiah, and the other guy I think was TW, and we funneled information through them. They funneled it to Will, and kind of I say information, but more like data, pictures, vocals, audio, stuff like that.
Well, no, you're very organized too. I've noticed that.
Right, and he. So Jeremiah wound up stepping down about a year ago for health reasons, and so Will called me up and was like, "Hey, we think you'd be the perfect guy." So I said, "Okay, cool, man. I'd love to do it." So I became the executive director, and it's a cool responsibility and something that I like, and I'm always looking for people who want to join the team. So anybody out there want to join the team, man, let me know. I'd be glad to set you up.
Amazing. And if all these people want to know how to get in contact with his page,
just go to Beyond the Woodline. There's a Beyond the Woodline fan page and a Beyond the Woodline podcast page. The fan page is private because some people don't like all their stuff out in the open. The podcast page is public, and then I'm on YouTube. It's the same thing, Beyond the Woodline, and then the email is Beyond the Woodline, beyond.woodline@gmail.com.
Nice, amazing. So now everybody knows. There's no excuse. You can't say you didn't know because you heard it here.
That's right.
But going back into your investigations, which one of your investigations have impacted you the most?
One of the first ones I did with Shane, and that was just a crazy night. We heard wood knocks and howls and branches breaking, and it was just me and him out there all alone, out there, where we camped at that night.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just a crazy couple of days. I mean, we were hearing. It's not like people were taking batting practice out there, Just this solid, sharp, crisp, just solid, man. And they come from all different directions. And, that was probably one of the most intense nights. It was Thursday night. That was probably.
Did it go on for the whole night?
Not for the whole night, but it went on for a pretty long time, maybe for an hour. And I've actually got some pretty good howls recorded. And then one other time, me and Shane went. This is probably 2017, 2018. We went to another location, and we actually drove a couple miles from our campsite, pulled over on this dirt road, just a dirt road we found. And so let's check this road out,
Mm-hmm.
And it was late afternoon, early evening. Sun was starting to go down, I guess. And I had a dog whistle. Someone told me to take a dog whistle and try it. So I had this dog whistle. I started blowing. I only blew it like 4 or 5 times, and I set it down. And I just listened, and this freaking growl came at us. It was like the loudest growl any of us had ever heard. It was unlike anything. I never experienced anything like that because it was so loud, yet it didn't fill up the forest. It came straight at us. You know what I'm saying?
Like it was directed towards you.
Yeah, it was directed towards us. It was just so weird. As loud as it was, not to fill up the forest. It was like it went from point A to point B.
How did your body react to this?
We were just like, what the hell was that? And we got that on recording, and it's actually in Shane's possession. And he doesn't even know where that recorder's at because it was an old recorder that Ernie had. You met Ernie.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Great person.
Yeah, Ernie's a great guy too. Yeah, Ernie actually had it. He gave it to Shane. Shane was because he couldn't download it. I think the either the cable or the recorder itself was messed up, but he couldn't download. So Shane took it home to check it out, but I guess he put it away somewhere. He doesn't know where it's at. But yeah, man, but yeah, we sat around that night at the campfire listening to it several times. It was a crazy growl, and of course the growls that we got from that location, where me and you went.
Oh yes,
yes,
that was crazy.
Yeah, that was a crazy location.
Just hearing those little rock taps, clack, and then you would. It's like they were saying, "No, I'm gonna hit it. Watch, bump," and then you could hear the steps, and you're like, "Wait, what? Did you hear that? Yeah, I heard that."
Yeah,
it's amazing how these. I think that they're more. Well, that's just from my short experience with this. For those of you who don't know, Joe has been good enough to take me under his wing and mentoring me and showing me how to go about doing things, and it's been amazing. I enjoy learning from this man like you have no clue. But I took him to where I had an experience, and it was just amazing to see him going through all the things while I'm just in a corner. I feel like I'm solid as a log, and this man is just And that's where we left some recorders where you got all those rocks and tappings and all those weird noises.
Right. Yeah. I think it's a pretty good location. I can't wait to go back. We'll go back when the weather starts changing. I think when the weather changes, they'll start moving around a lot more.
Now, what do you think those animals with this heat? What do you think they do? Do they stay away? Do you think they?
I think they probably don't come out too much in the daytime because there are sightings in the summertime. They're kind of few and far between, but I think in the summertime they probably find a shaded area or just don't move around. I mean,
you got to think about being in a Chewbacca suit. 12 to 24 hours a day, every day in this heat.
I mean, we're wearing pants and t-shirts going out there. That's why when we left, what was it, Sunday morning? I put shorts on when we went to go get our recorders. Mm-hmm. I said I'm not sweating this early in the morning. I put shorts on.
Oh yeah, and it was so humid that day.
Yeah. So these things they probably spend a lot of time deeper in the woods where it's nice and cool, and then I'm sure there's a water source nearby. They want to get in the water and cool off. They can do that too.
And have you ever found prints in your areas whenever you're doing investigations around?
Yeah, we had the one creek that we went down. We actually followed quite a bit of ways. That's where I found the 8-inch track. Okay, I found an 8-inch track there. Did we go down that second creek? We didn't go down that second creek, I don't think. We kind of went there, and then we turned back around.
Yes, we just looked at it and turned back around.
Yeah, so on that creek, instead of going to the left, we went. I went to the right, and I found a 3-inch track, a little 3-inch track, like a baby footprint. You know,
Right.
It was just one footprint, like I had stepped in the creek, and then
Just trying to cross it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it just kind of showed. Actually, it was on the other side of the creek, like maybe it jumped from one side to the other, you know. And I can imagine that even at that age, they can outperform a human baby, you know.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I've heard, I went to camp close to that area, and I think I told you about this. And I felt like doing sausages at 1 o'clock in the morning. Great idea.
All right.
Man, and they were smelling. You could smell it, and it was everywhere. And to the right side is a hunting area of the camp, right?
Right.
And out of nowhere, you could hear kids, like kids' voices, and he would say something, and you would get an answer, but you couldn't tell what they were saying at all. But it sounded so freaky.
Right. Yeah. And I've heard that before too, where people talk about they hear like what sounds like kids laughing, or playing. Yeah.
I've heard a lot on a show that I was watching a while back that a lot of kids disappear because that's they see all these little Bigfoots roaming around, and curiosity.
Mm-hmm. Well, that area where we were at, that whole little part right there, 6-7 mile radius, maybe 10 miles. You actually hear of either small ones or not the real big ones, like the one that you saw. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the sightings that I've seen, or that I've heard from an actual individual that I've talked to, were maybe 6 foot, maybe 6.5 foot at the most. So to me, that's not a very big one or a very mature one. So maybe this area is more of
like a nurturing area.
Nursery, yeah, maybe like an adolescent area. So that's kind of what I think. Just based on that, I have nothing really.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah. You have a lot of different animals in the forest that they can start training from little kids how to hunt or do whatever it is that they need to do. So it makes sense. You have a lot of little creeks and all of that. So mommy can rest easy while they're doing their thing.
Yeah, and you definitely have a lot of smaller game there. There's a lot of rabbit, raccoons, squirrels. Correct. Even though there are deer and hog there, they don't generally come in that close. Right. Especially to the campgrounds. They will, but
out of all, I have to ask this because you've been in your podcast a very long time. Who's your favorite guest and why?
I have I had a young lady named Tori. She was just so much fun. She was very funny to have. She was in the paranormal field. Beth is great. Beth Allen. She's also a paranormal investigator. She's a hoot to have on. This couple I had on very recently, which was Adam and oh my God, I can't remember her name. Her last name's Caminetti. Heather Caminetti. Man, they were just great people. Just great people, And so those are some of my my favorite guests that I've had on.
And when you're offering this platform, and obviously you talk to other investigators in the field, you most of you exchange stories for the public. What is your end goal with your show?
Just to share data, share information, and just to create more awareness to that there's more out there than just from sitting on your couch or even on your computer screen. Some people don't have that ability to get up and actually go out and research, which I totally understand and I totally get. We're all going to probably get there at some point in time, and so I try to bring that to them. But for those who don't have their eyes open, I guess you could say that I'm trying to open up their eyes and try to get them to see, past their
definitely,
beyond the woodline, so to speak.
Exactly, and that's a great name, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it speaks truth in so many different ways, and you can apply that name to your everyday life. And just an example with these creatures, we can't see beyond the woodline, and you don't know that there's something else beyond what you normally think.
Right.
And I'm saying this, and Joe can correct me, but I was a skeptic. I was a 100% skeptic. And when I had my event occur, I mean, it opened a new door. It was like I don't even know what world I'm in. You don't know the world you're in. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And you know, part of like why I do the shows, like I said, not just to share information for myself, also to get information. Because there's a lot of stuff I don't know about. Like I said, one of my favorite guests was a guy who did remote viewing. His name was Daniel. You know, and he's actually told me he's done remote viewing like on Bigfoot and stuff like that, and or had other people do a remote viewing like on Bluff Creek. You know, and he says that they come back and they tell him that's a real animal. That's not an animal in a suit. You know, people who had nothing to do with the Bigfoot world or who don't care, who they don't have a dog in the fight, so to speak. You know, so yeah, that's one of the things I like about the shows. That I just try to get a bunch of information out there and just try to learn for myself too. And why not share the knowledge? There's enough people out there who want to hold everything in and don't want to share anything. And but at the same time, in the same breath, they'll talk about unity and talk about community, but yet they don't want to share anything.
Have you ever gone to those the historically haunted buildings and have something crazy happen?
Not really crazy. The only building I actually investigated was the Haunted Hill House in Mineral Wells.
No way.
Yeah.
You're a brave man, senor.
That's where Darren's from, man. That's where Darren's from.
Really?
Mineral Wells. But I went there with Shannon. Like I said, that was my first official investigation. Wow. And one of her friends had one of those little boxes. I don't know what they call them, portal boxes, or what else do they call them? Anyway, you can talk and they answer questions and the voices come out or whatever.
Oh, okay, yeah. The spirit box.
Spirit boxes. There you go. And he actually built this one. It was really cool because it didn't have like all that static. A lot of them had that static and it's kind of hard to hear. This was pretty cool. And so he was showing me all the bells and whistles. And he said, well, I'm just going to go upstairs and do a session. And I said, do you mind if I come along with you? And a voice came through the box that come up.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And he looked at me and goes, well, come up. That was pretty cool. Do you mind if I come up with you? Come up.
I don't know how I would react to something like that. Yeah. You know what? You go ahead. I think you got this one.
Yeah, I got my answer. Yeah, that was
great.
Yeah. That's like one of the it's like either the most haunted place in the United States or definitely like the most haunted in here in Texas.
Yeah, I don't know that I could handle all of that.
It's fun.
I'll start mildly, move the little piece of paper. Okay, we're good. That's it. Bye. No, but a lot of people has had a lot of, traumatic experiences when it comes to the paranormal. And some people, they call them crazy or, schizophrenics and, wrongly they use every other term in the book, but sometimes they don't have anybody to guide them in the right way. And that's why, it's good for your show to be out there.
Right. Yeah.
People can reach out and let their stories come out. So if you have a story, hey, get in touch with this man. Talk to him.
Yeah, well, it's not just me. It's people like you, too. You starting your show. And, I think it's a good thing. The more of us that are out there, the more people can share their story. And what I like to hear is when people come forward and say, hey, I saw so-and-so on this show, and that's why I'm come forward. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I like that so much. I talk to so many people that I've been through Will, as a matter of fact, people who call me and contact me, like, hey, you know what? I heard you on this show and I want a Will show, and this is what happened to me, Yeah,
it's therapeutic. It's therapeutic.
Yeah.
People out there don't believe this, but once you hold all that inside of you, you stress out with all of this information
Right.
because there's so much you don't know what to do with it. And going into these shows like Joe's show, it helps you. You talk about it, you feel understood first of all,
Right.
and you're not going to be ridiculized in any way, shape, or form. I mean, these are people that are actually going to understand what you're going through.
Yeah, I had a guy that I had met here in Texas. His name's Aaron, and he was on one of Will's earlier shows. And he, just by me going out to his area, he felt so much better. He's like, man, that just made me feel so much better that you guys actually took the time to go out to my area to see where I had my encounter. He had a pretty scary encounter too about the same thing that you had.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I need to forward you that link. It's on Will's show. His name is Aaron. For you guys that are interested in that.
Wow.
Yeah, he had a pretty.
Well, I know that's how I felt when you came out to the site and we had a look-see around.
Yeah.
Granted, it was still a bit touchy for me at the time, and I got my little jitters still every once in a while.
Yeah.
And y'all not gonna believe this. We're driving out, and a squirrel of all things, a squirrel comes out, and I jump and I hit the brakes.
I'm glad I had my seatbelt on. I went through the windshield. Yeah. I was like, damn, man, you all right?
But that's part of the show. That's part of the whole shebang, and it does make you feel better when you're with somebody because you're like, okay, now he understands. Now he can see what I saw.
Right? Yeah. And it was good that we went out, and I was glad that we actually went out there and actually measured too how high he was.
Yeah, because we were right when we gave out these little details might not seem important to a lot of people, especially to people that don't believe, but they are very interesting and very, very, very important because I was a skeptic. I didn't, if I never knew anything about this before I went there that day. You know what I mean? And if you would have told me a story about it, I would have just looked at you like.
But good stuff. Man.
Yeah, but no, it's 100% real, and people like Joe come out here and they help you in every way they can, and for that I am very glad and humble, and thank you very much for that, sir.
Yeah, no problem, man. You're good people, and that was one of the things that I liked about you right away. I could tell you're a good person. I could tell you weren't, someone bullshitting or looking for attention.
Yeah, and we've done a couple of investigations together, and I remember the last time I was tripping out. I was like, I think I saw something. Right there. I swear I saw something. And I felt all these, and he's looking at me like, bro, that was the branch. And he was right. I kept going back and forth. He was right. That's another thing that's very important. What's the name of that? When your mind pareidolia, is it?
Yeah, pareidolia or something like that.
That's one of the most important things also on your field, because a lot of people put a picture of the aquatic world and, oh look, I see it right there, and there's nothing. Or if there's something, it's crazy what people will tell.
I don't mind someone saying, hey, you know what? I went out to the woods and I experienced this, and I saw the picture. I took a quick picture. This is the picture that I took, and let us make up our mind. Don't zoom in and blow it up where it's so pixelated.
And mark it.
Yeah, Well, I don't even mind marking it, That way I can know what I'm looking at or know where to look at. But I'd rather see the picture the way it was taken, and then I'll zoom in or whatever I need to do, and but you can't zoom in on a picture and then share it on Facebook. It just goes to hell, and you can't make anything out. And I'll never call anyone a liar, but if I can't make out what a shadow, what a dead piece of brush is, what's green, how can I tell you anything, And then people get mad and they get their feelings hurt, and like, well, you don't know.
And just like you just said right now, it's not that you're calling them a liar.
Yeah.
It's just that we can't see it. We can't see it. We can't see it.
Right.
and we understand that we can't see it. Sometimes when you're out there, just like ourselves, we go take this video, and even with 1,000 cameras on, and you're pointing in the right direction at the right time, I guarantee you something's gonna happen because you're not either gonna focus. These are natural happenings, people. It's not like we're there with a 300,000 zoom meter camera. There it is, clack.
Yeah, and happen to catch it at the perfect time, So I understand that happens, and that probably happens more times than you can shake a stick at, But if you're going to post a picture, you got to have thick skin. You got to have thick skin in this field. You can't get mad and get your feelings hurt. I've got some crappy pictures, and but I'm not going to post them because I know they're crappy pictures,
Right.
Like I said, I had a gentleman that said he took a picture of one, and that he saw it move. He took a picture. Then he comments he was 800 yards away.
How do you know it was 800 yards
away? I'm like, come on, man! You're not going to see anything moving 800 yards away. And even he had kind of two different posts. He said you can see it move in this picture from this other picture. I'm like, that could be distortion from the pixels,
I mean, we're talking about 800 yards.
That's half a mile,
bro. We're talking about 8 football fields.
Yeah, that's damn near half a mile. I looked it up. It's like 0.46 miles. That's almost half a mile.
That's insane.
Yeah, and he got it with a phone. So,
Well, we're not saying you didn't see it. I'm
telling you right now, if you saw something at 800 yards, first of all, you got good eyes.
Should be a pilot.
He should be a pilot, a superhero or something. But so I'm not going to tell you didn't see it at 800, but you can't take a picture of it and then say this is what I saw, and then zoom in 800 yards on your phone.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because people think that when you go out to do this research in the field, right, you're gonna actually find it and see them all and find everything there is to find. No, explain to us how is a lovely day of investigation, please.
Well, we spent our lovely day in the hot, humid weather, fighting off mosquitoes, spraying ourselves constantly with off, walking trails, scraping up against brush and thorns and tripping through muddy terrain, and that was us investigating,
eating spider webs every step you take.
Yeah, eating spider webs, making sure the spiders get down your shirt, more often than not, when people go out, you're just going to go out there camping, So if you want to get into this field, get ready to do a lot of camping,
don't go to the field thinking it's going to show up right here.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah, and you gotta really program yourself, because even I'll do it when I hear snaps and breaks. Okay, what was that? I have to kind of reel myself in. Okay, let me think about it. We remember when we were walking, we heard those 2 snaps.
Correct.
And we stopped, right? We stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And then we took one step and we heard that snap again. And that's when I called Shane to the front. Say, come here, Shane. And then, nothing happened after that, of course. But yeah, so what were those 2 snaps? And then the third snap, I don't know. But it was just really weird the way they happened.
And it was very interesting, like you just mentioned. Once you stop, it took that one extra step, like, oh,
yeah.
Well, I already did it,
Yeah, well, I'm caught.
But that's the thing, people. I mean, when you go out there, I mean, you're putting a lot of hours in the field, and nothing's gonna happen, and you're just sitting there. So you might as well enjoy yourself in a camp with a few friends, laugh, do this, do that.
Yeah, like I've been going out there since 2012, and I try to go out there, 4 or 5 times a year. And there's been times when I've gone out there every month. There's been a couple years where I did that, but I probably average 4 or 5 times a year. And most of those times it's just been camping. So I do have a lot of stories where I've had stuff thrown at me or whatever. I've had a rock thrown at me. I've had a stick thrown at me. Of course, I heard the wood knocks. I've heard howls and yelps and growls.
Have they ever hit you?
The rock bounced off the bill of my cap. Yeah. The rock bounced off. Yeah,
that's good aim right there.
Yeah. It was small, maybe the size of a quarter or a nickel or something like that. The stick went way over my head. I was walking down the trail and it just went, and it was I don't know, maybe a foot and a half, 2 feet long. It wasn't a very big stick, and it was it wasn't like anything that was going to hurt me if it hit me.
Wow.
We were where we were camping at. I think I told you that story. Over there, we're actually putting our stuff up. Two of my buddies both had AKs. I had a 40 caliber on my hip. They both had 45s, and a rock comes and lands right in the middle of all of us. And I thought that someone had dropped their flashlight. And this rock was maybe the size of like a lime or a lemon. And they were like, "Hey, Joe, look." And I turned around because I heard it hit, but I just didn't pay attention. Like I said, I thought it was someone dropped their flashlight.
Right.
And they're pointing down with their flashlights. Look, this just came in and it landed right here between all of us. Now, who in their right mind is going to be throwing rocks at three guys that are pretty heavily armed,
Absolutely, yeah. Somebody with a death wish, obviously.
Yeah.
Wow, that's an amazing experience right there in itself.
Yeah, and like I said, that same guy with me and Shane were out there one night. Something hit his truck, and it sounded like it hit it from the side. It didn't sound like anything came from the top. It sounded like it makes just a different sound.
Now, in that area where we were, I wasn't very clear because you guys kept pointing and talking about the backside of where we were. Is there a trail somewhere out there?
It's not a trail. It's just another area of the woods, and it used to be pretty open, pretty clear. Mm-hmm. You could actually walk back there and go for quite a ways back there. But now it's just so grown up. It's so grown up. It's like a jungle, just like the rest of the forest.
Right. And talking about this rock throwing, what do you think that means?
It's either trying to scare you, trying to spook you, or maybe it's a younger one trying to be mischievous.
Yeah.
Shane had a good story that night about one that slapped the guy on the foot and took off running. I think
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think they can be mischievous, like I said, and I think in that particular area, it's a lot of younger ones, at least immature ones. Even if they are older, they're probably still immature to some degree. And so that's what I think that whole area is really. Like I said, that's just my opinion. People might disagree.
And I think you're right, because I remember asking you, "Hey, man, do you have a place so that I can go and kind of walk it?" And you pointed me to that other place. And then I remember in the midst of it, I mean, we didn't even walk a quarter of a mile, and all of a sudden, rocks are being thrown at us. Heavy logs coming from every direction. I mean, and then we had 3 fake charges, coming in. We have it, on a video, and you could hear the charges, the steps, and that really scared me because I'm so little. I'm 5'5", and the grass is completely covering me, So I don't see where it's coming. So you see me in the video going, where's it coming from?
Yeah. That area, it's a real calm area. I'm really surprised that happened over there.
And in the middle of all of these people, the only thing I could think of was to text him, "Hey, we're being attacked."
Yeah. That was funny. Yeah. I looked at my phone and said, "What the hell's going on with him now?" These things do not like him.
Yeah, no, they kicked me out all the way out. They escorted us out, throwing stuff and twigs and rocks, and it's almost like you say, the younger ones are the bolder ones.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're probably full of testosterone or whatever the hell they're full of, and just trying to test themselves and see how they do in a situation.
True. People, do you want to share with us your podcast hours and where it comes out?
Yeah, like I said, it's Beyond the Woodline, and you can check it out on YouTube or Spotify and Anchor. I think it's also on Google. It's on a couple other platforms. Anchor takes care of all that, but I know it's on Anchor and Spotify and Google, but it's also like I said, on YouTube, and then I got it on Facebook too.
Well, I want to thank you, man, for sharing and taking out of your busy time to come on our first show. Nevertheless,
yeah.
Hope you like my office. I don't know if you recognize it.
I don't remember that part of your house.
This is the famous background of the Ghostbusters. The office, from the movie.
Okay. Yeah,
see, Ecto 1 right there.
Okay. That's cool.
while I get something as cool looking as yours, but that's what we're gonna do with for now.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for taking out of your time and talking to us and sharing some of your experiences. I'm sure a lot of people appreciate that. And guys, hey, I can't say thank you enough for being with us and looking at the show. And hopefully we'll get more guests coming in, and we'll take it from there.
Hell yeah, man. Anything I can do to help you out, man, I'm gonna help you out, brother.
Thank you so much.
And it was an honor to be on your show, brother.
Oh, thank you. It was my honor to have you here. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you the next time. Mr. Joe DeHoyos and myself say thank you, and until Valhalla.